I threw open the closet door, and he fell out. Naked, shaking, holding his shoes. She gasped. I punched him so hard he crashed into the dresser. She cried. I picked up his wallet, took a photo of his license, and sent it to his wife. Then I tossed her phone in the toilet. Let them explain it all. To everyone. I was supposed to be out of town that night. Melanie thought I had boarded the 8:45 p.m. flight to Denver for a regional cybersecurity audit. But the conference got rescheduled at the last second, and instead of texting her, I made a decision. One that had been brewing in the back of my mind for over a month. The signs were there. The way she'd started turning her phone over when we sat down to eat. How she locked the bathroom door just to brush her teeth. Sudden new passwords. Always having late meetings, yet coming home with no follow-up, no stress, no trace of any actual work. Even her perfume was different, stronger, like she was masking something. It started 2 weeks before. I came home from a late meeting and caught a glimpse of her reflection in the black TV screen. She was smiling down at her phone, not typing, not scrolling, just waiting, watching it glow. I didn't say anything, but that image stuck with me. I didn't need to guess what it meant. I just didn't have proof. So I installed a mini camera inside the closet vent. I told her I was fixing airflow issues. She barely looked up. I checked the feed each night while she slept. For 2 weeks, nothing. Just her laying in bed, sometimes texting for too long, sometimes falling asleep early. And then, on the night before my supposed trip, I saw her strip the bedsheets, light a scented candle, and put on makeup. At 11:47 p.m. That was enough. I pulled into the driveway just after 1:30 a.m. I parked a block down to keep it quiet. The porch light was off. I unlocked the door slowly, careful not to let the hinge creak. Inside, the whole house was quiet, too quiet. Not the peaceful kind, the type where you know someone's deliberately pretending nothing's happening. My shoes came off soundlessly. I didn't turn on any lights. My phone was in my pocket, already recording. As I walked toward the bedroom, I paused in the hallway. I heard something. The subtle sound of fabric shifting. A sudden thump, like someone bumping against a door. Then the unmistakable squeak of a foot trying to stay quiet on wooden floorboards. I opened the bedroom door slowly. Melanie was sitting on the bed in her robe, facing away, hair damp and loose. She didn't hear me at first. Then, the closet door clicked. She spun around. I stepped fully into the room. She froze. Her face drained white. I turned my eyes to the closet. Another faint bump. Then silence. I walked over, each step heavier than the last. My pulse was calm. My mind was quiet in the worst possible way. I gripped the closet handle and threw it open. A man fell out. Literally collapsed forward, naked, one shoe on, the other gripped in his hand. His socks were bundled into the other. He hit the floor hard, eyes wide, breathing fast like he'd just run a marathon. He didn't even look at me. He looked at Melanie. She couldn't speak. She wasn't even moving. I stared at the man. Mid-40s. Fit. Gold necklace. No wedding ring, but his tan line betrayed him. He tried to cover himself, crawling backward toward the dresser. I moved toward him and struck once. Not wild, just enough. His body smacked the side of the dresser. He let out a low, breathless grunt and stayed down. Melanie shouted something behind me. I didn't turn. The guy reached for his jeans, then stopped when I raised my hand again. He didn't speak. He was still trying to catch his breath, mouth open like a gasping fish. I leaned down, pulled his wallet out from the pants pocket, opened it, and found his driver's license tucked behind a worn credit card. I snapped a photo of it with my phone. Then I flipped through his phone. Contacts. Texts. He had a pinned thread called Dollface Kiss Markta. The last message read, "I love hearing you say you're mine, even when he's in the next room." I didn't say anything. I didn't scream. I just dropped the guy's phone beside him. Melanie was crying now. She stepped forward like she wanted to stop me. I turned and walked past her into the bathroom. Opened the toilet lid. Dropped her phone in. Then I flushed. Didn't wait to watch it disappear. Didn't turn around. She screamed. Asked me to stop. Said my name twice. I walked down the hall, through the kitchen, out the door, and got in my car. She didn't follow me. I didn't drive home. I didn't even know what that word meant anymore. I sat in the car with the door half closed, engine off, lights out, parked 2 blocks away from the house that used to feel like mine. I kept the driver's license open on my phone, zooming in on every line. His name was Thomas R. Kessler, 45, married, based on the mailing address, same last name as a woman I recognized from Melanie's Facebook once. A holiday party. Some corporate event where they toasted champagne with clients. She was listed as event operations lead. Thomas was the regional consultant for some contracting firm Melanie had supposedly barely interacted with. Turns out, that was a lie. Just like everything else. I opened Google. I typed in the address from the license. It led me to a perfectly landscaped 2-story home in a quiet suburban cul-de-sac. White fence, blue shutters, yard flamingos. I opened the photo of his license and added it to an email. I typed only one sentence in the body. Your husband was in my closet tonight. Here's proof. I attached the license image, clicked send, and stared at the screen. My hands didn't shake. I didn't think of consequences. I just waited. 30 seconds. 1 minute. Then I hit record again on my phone. I opened the security camera app and downloaded the entire feed from the past 2 hours. It showed Thomas arriving through the back door. It showed Melanie greeting him with her robe already half off. It showed the two of them heading into the bedroom laughing, then cutting the lights. It showed everything. I didn't post it. I didn't blast it to socials. I just uploaded the raw footage to a private Google Drive folder, set to anyone with the link can view. Then I copied the link and saved it to notes. It was 2:22 a.m. Melanie hadn't called once. Instead, he did. The name on the screen read, Thomas Work Cell. I answered and said nothing. On the other end, silence. Then a breath. Look, man, I just want to explain. I hung up. He called again. Blocked. Then a text from an unknown number. Can we talk like adults? Deleted. I started the car and drove to an all-night diner 20 minutes away. It wasn't about eating. I just needed somewhere that wasn't drenched in the smell of betrayal. I sat at the counter and ordered coffee. No cream. No sugar. By 3:05 a.m., I had created a burner email account and composed 2 more messages. The first went to Melanie's parents. Subject, your daughter's Thursday nights. Body, thought you should know who's been visiting while I was on work trips. Here's the link. Attach, the closet camera footage link. The second went to a contact labeled Jerry, boss, in Melanie's phone backup, which I had accessed weeks prior when she forgot to log out of iCloud on our laptop. Subject, regarding Melanie and Thomas Kessler. Body, professional boundaries matter. You'll want to see this. Attach, the same link. No message signature. No threats. Just clarity. Then I ordered another coffee. By 4:10 a.m., the link had already been opened 6 times. The Google Drive stats didn't lie. 1 view from Connecticut, 1 from a company server IP, 1 from an Apple device registered to M. Kessler, and 1 from Melanie's sister's location. Let the avalanche begin. I finally went home at 6:30 a.m. The sun had just started creeping past the treetops. I didn't go in. I just parked across the street and waited. At 7:05 a.m., a car I didn't recognize pulled into our driveway. A woman stepped out. Late 30s. Tired eyes. Wearing a hoodie and jeans. She knocked once, then barged in before Melanie could even finish unlocking the door. That had to be Thomas's wife. I didn't stay to watch. At work, no one noticed anything different. I finished my pending cases, updated my documentation, and logged into the internal chat to block off time for a legal consultation. I filed for separation at 10:52 a.m. My lawyer, Rachel, had seen worse. She asked 2 questions. Did I have video? Did she know I had it? Yes. No. She nodded like that was enough. Around noon, Melanie showed up outside the office lobby. She wore a different outfit, face blotchy, eyes wild. I didn't even approach. I called building security and went back to my desk. My phone buzzed 15 times over the next hour. Then it stopped. At 2:20 p.m., I got a text from an unknown number. You sent it to my boss. Are you happy now? That one I saved. Later that day, I got a call from Thomas's wife. I hesitated for 3 rings. Then I answered. Her voice was flat, but not cold. She asked how long I had known. I said 2 weeks. She said she had suspected longer. She thanked me for the photo of his license. Said she needed something undeniable for the custody hearing. She had 2 kids. She told me this wasn't his first time. That she'd let the past 2 friendships slide because he swore they meant nothing. She ended the call with a sentence I didn't expect. He's going to learn what it means to lose everything at once. I didn't reply. That night, Melanie's best friend, Marla, called me. She left a voicemail. Said Melanie was a wreck. Said she was crying nonstop. Said she was sorry for what she did. I didn't call back. Instead, I opened the door to our apartment and stepped inside for the first time since everything exploded. The place was dark, silent. Her stuff was gone. Or rather, packed into 2 suitcases by the front door. She had moved herself out. On the kitchen table, a note. You've made your point. I'll explain to whoever asks. No apology. No answer. Just that. I walked into the bedroom and turned on the closet light. One of Thomas's socks was still there. A single black dress sock, half wrapped inside out, stuffed behind the shoeboxes. I left it on the pillow. By Friday morning, the footage had done more damage than I expected. Not just personal, structural, career level, reputation level. The kind of fallout that sticks and spreads. My lawyer texted me at 8:12 a.m. She had already drafted a formal petition for divorce citing adultery, with corroborating exhibits. I didn't even have to ask. She had included stills from the closet camera footage, timestamped, and labeled Exhibit A through Exhibit D. Meanwhile, my inbox was a disaster zone. Melanie's sister wrote, "What the hell, Andrew? Couldn't you have talked to her instead of nuking her life?" Melanie's cousin sent one line. "Guess karma comes fast, huh?" But the real twist came from an unexpected email, Melanie's boss. The same one I had copied earlier. Subject, Incident concerning M. Parker and T. Kessler. Body. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Both parties have been placed on administrative leave pending further investigation. Please do not contact our office again. No signature. No emotion. Just corporate cleanup in action. That was the confirmation I needed. Thomas was one of their largest regional consultants. A married man sleeping with a client company's project lead. In office spaces. During travel. At contract meetings. A walking HR disaster. Melanie knew it. And now it was eating her alive. Around midday, I got a knock at my door. It was Melanie's father. I hadn't seen him in nearly 6 months, not since Christmas. That night, he had toasted me as the best thing to happen to our family. Now he looked like he hadn't slept in 2 days. His first words weren't angry. They were confused. He asked if it was real. I nodded. He asked if I had to make it public. I told him I didn't. I told him I sent it to 4 people. His daughter, her boss, her affair partner's wife, and him. Anyone else who saw it got it from them. He went silent. Then he asked something strange. He asked if I had ever thought of forgiving her. I looked him in the eyes. Then asked if he would forgive someone who crawled into his daughter's closet, naked, while his son-in-law was out of town. He left without another word. By evening, the gossip had spread wider. Marla, the best friend, texted again, asking me not to talk to anyone else. She claimed Melanie was being harassed by anonymous numbers, co-workers whispering behind her back, even threats from Thomas's wife's circle. I didn't respond. Later that night, I got a new email notification, this time from a burner account. The message read, "Hope your little show was worth it. You're not innocent either. I know what you've done." It was unsigned. No name. No real sender. But I knew the tone. That was Thomas. He was bluffing, obviously. But I saved the email anyway and sent it to Rachel, my lawyer. She flagged it for future use. Then I added another note to my Google Drive folder. Attempted retaliation received March 17th, archived for legal. At midnight, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. This time, I answered. It was Melanie. Not crying. Not begging. Just quiet. Shaky. She said she lost her job. Said Thomas had been suspended. Said the company was holding a formal ethics hearing next week and that people were being asked to give statements. She asked if I would retract the email. I said no. She asked why. I told her I wasn't punishing her. I was just showing the truth. Letting it do the punishing for me. She stayed on the line for almost a full minute, breathing, trying to figure out what to say. Then she asked if we could meet in person. She said she had something to return. Something important. I agreed. But not at my place. Not hers. Neutral ground. I told her to meet me at the park near my old apartment. The one with the benches shaped like puzzle pieces. She arrived 20 minutes late. Hair tied back. Wearing sunglasses even though it was 1 a.m. She had a manila envelope in her hand. She handed it to me. Said it had some of my documents, letters from her lawyer, and her final proposal for how to split everything. She tried to explain herself. Said it wasn't supposed to mean anything. That she felt alone. That Thomas said the right things at the wrong time. She listed off every vague justification a guilty person keeps in reserve like canned excuses. I let her speak for 3 minutes. Then I handed her something from my jacket pocket, the sock I had left on the pillow. She looked at it, then at me. I asked her why she didn't stop him. Not once. She didn't answer. I turned to leave. She stopped me by grabbing my arm. Then, out of nowhere, she said something that snapped everything into high gear again. "You think I'm the only one who's been hiding something?" I froze. She smirked, then stepped back and walked away. The next morning, I started combing through my own digital history. Every text, every call, every email. I checked for anything she could twist or weaponize. Nothing suspicious. No overlaps. No conversations she could use against me. But then I remembered something. 6 months ago, Melanie had borrowed my laptop to update her resume. She said her MacBook had crashed. At the time, I didn't think anything of it. But that night, I opened my file logs and noticed something strange. An external drive had been plugged in, labeled Archive 2020. I dug deeper. Access logs showed that during those few hours, she had browsed through my old financial files, including joint tax returns from before our wedding, along with old texts with my ex. Totally harmless, but out of context, maybe usable. I flagged it all. Then I called Rachel. She told me what I already suspected. Melanie wasn't done. She was either bluffing or prepping a final retaliation play. Rachel told me to stay ahead of it. That meant full access logs, sworn statements from colleagues, A notarized timeline of my travel for the last 90 days. So that's what I did. By the weekend, the dominoes had all begun to fall. Thomas's wife filed for divorce. Melanie was officially terminated from her firm for cause. HR had sent her a detailed breakdown of violations. I didn't celebrate. There was nothing to celebrate. Just facts. Just damage. By Sunday, the temperature outside dropped, but the tension surrounding everything kept burning hotter. I didn't hear from Melanie again, not directly. But I didn't need to. Her name was getting whispered around professional groups. Her LinkedIn profile quietly vanished. A few of my mutual contacts forwarded screenshots from business Slack channels where someone had shared the folder link. Anonymous tip. Corporate gossip machine on full blast. HR departments don't forget. And neither do wives. But the part one didn't expect came that evening. Thomas's wife showed up at my door. I barely recognized her at first. She was calm, wearing a coat with a grocery bag in one hand. She handed it to me without stepping inside. Inside was a leather wallet. The same one I had rifled through that night. She said she found it stuffed in a drawer, wrapped in a shirt that smelled like perfume. She had already taken photos of every card, every ID, every receipt. She added something else, a printed photo of a room key envelope. Room 204, March 10th. The same day Melanie had told me she was volunteering at a leadership retreat. She asked if I wanted it. I didn't answer. She left it with me anyway. Before she walked off, she said she wanted one more thing. For me to forward that folder to the regional HR director of her husband's firm. I did it before she made it back to her car. Monday morning, Melanie's number lit up my phone again. I let it ring. Again. At lunch, I got a text from Marla. You went too far. She's being threatened online. People are dragging her everywhere. I thought about it. About how she had said nothing while I was being lied to, manipulated, used. About how Marla had smiled in my face while watching Melanie sneak off to dinner with Thomas more than once. About the time she told me Melanie was working late. Even though I had called her phone and she hadn't picked up, I didn't reply. Instead, I got a message from Melanie's new lawyer. A formal request to settle quickly, divide assets without court involvement. No mention of mutual fault, just a clean proposal. But something in the wording made me pause. Subject to privacy protection of all shared materials and future silence from both parties. They wanted me quiet. Wanted the trail to go cold. I asked Rachel to reject the clause. She called me personally. Told me that meant they were scared of something still leaking. Either more footage existed, or Thomas's legal counsel had warned them this was now a liability spiral. I didn't care about the rest. I cared about one thing, owning the narrative. I waited until midnight. Then I made one change to the drive folder. I added a screenshot of the email Melanie had sent Thomas weeks earlier. One I found in the iCloud backup. The subject line was, "He's leaving for Denver Thursday. I'll leave the back door unlocked." I captioned the image, Exhibit E. She planned it. No explanation. Just that. On Tuesday, it all crashed. My phone lit up before sunrise. Rachel called. Thomas had been fired. Not suspended. Not reassigned. Fired. Termination with cause. Melanie's firm had released a statement internally and removed her from their website. Thomas's wife filed a restraining order. She cited past patterns of emotional manipulation and deception. And then, the last thread snapped. Melanie showed up outside my apartment again. No bags. No theatrics. Just her, standing by the wall, hair soaking wet from rain. I opened the door. She asked if she could speak. I didn't step aside, but I didn't close the door either. She told me she had lost everything. That no one was talking to her. That even her mother wasn't answering her calls. That Thomas had turned on her to save himself. I listened. Then I asked her a question that had been clawing at me for days. Why the closet? Why not just break it off clean? Why risk everything for someone who didn't even defend her? Her answer was as pathetic as it was honest. She thought I wouldn't find out. She believed I'd stay even if I did. She thought the years we had built together would outweigh one mistake. Only it wasn't one. I reminded her of the hotel key, the emails, the lies. She started crying again, gripping the doorframe. Then she whispered something I'll never forget. You weren't supposed to come home. Not I'm sorry. Not it was a mistake. Just that. I shut the door and locked it. I packed up the last of her things the next day, dropped them off at her sister's place. No words. Just a box and a printed copy of the license photo, the hotel receipt, and a letter that read, "You wanted to lie to everyone. Now everyone knows. Let them explain it. To each other. To everyone else. Not my problem anymore." And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day, and trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.